Discovery. Captain Liam Novak of the exploration vessel Magellan eased his ship through the debris field of the uncharted Red Dwarf system. Scans had detected the wreckage of an unidentified spacecraft on the fourth planet, and Novak was determined to investigate. As they drew closer to the crash site, Novak couldn't shake the feeling that this mission would change his life forever. The ship's AI had already determined that the craft was of non-human origin, a startling discovery that had sent ripples of excitement and apprehension through the crew. Novak donned his exosuit and joined the away team as they cautiously approached the wreckage. The alien ship was unlike anything he had ever seen, its sleek lines and bioorganic curves hinting at a technology far beyond Earth's capabilities. Inside the ruined craft, the team made a shocking discovery. Two young alien children, a boy and a girl, sleeping peacefully in cryostasis pods. They were the only survivors of the crash. Novak stared in wonder at the small, fragile beings, their skin a pale blue, and their delicate features etched with a beauty that seemed almost ethereal. His heart swelled with a sudden, fierce protectiveness. Against the advice of his superiors, Novak made the decision to bring the alien children back to Earth. He couldn't bear the thought of leaving them alone on this desolate world, with no one to care for them. As the Magellan began its long journey home, Novak took on the role of the children's guardian. He named them Lyra and Cygnus, after the constellations that shone overhead on the night of their discovery. In the months that followed, Novak learned to care for the twins, watching in amazement as they adapted to their new environment, with a speed and resilience that belied their tender age. He marveled at their quick minds and insatiable curiosity, their alien perspective offering new insights into even the most mundane aspects of human life. As the bond between the unlikely family grew, Novak knew that he would do anything to protect Lyra and Cygnus, no matter the cost. Little did he know, the greatest challenges were yet to come. Novak's decision to adopt the alien twins sent shockwaves through the scientific community and beyond. Some hailed him as a hero, a pioneer in interspecies relations, while others accused him of reckless endangerment and meddling in affairs beyond human understanding. Through it all, Novak remained steadfast in his commitment to Lyra and Cygnus. He created a home for them, a sanctuary where they could grow and learn in safety, away from the prying eyes of the world. As the twins grew older, Novak knew that he couldn't shield them forever. Sooner or later, they would have to venture out into the world and find their place in it. And when that day came, he vowed to be by their side, guiding and supporting them every step of the way. For now, though, Novak cherished every moment with his incredible, miraculous children. Each day brought new wonders, new discoveries, and a love that transcended the boundaries of species and space. In the quiet moments, when Lyra and Cygnus were asleep, and the weight of his responsibilities seemed almost too much to bear, Novak would gaze up at the stars and marvel at the twists of fate that had brought them together. He didn't know what the future held, but he knew that he would face it with an open heart and an unshakable determination to protect the precious lives that had been entrusted to his care. As Lyra and Cygnus grew, Novak knew that their journey together was only beginning. And though the road ahead was uncertain, one thing was clear: they would face it as a family, bound by love and a shared destiny that would shape the course of the universe itself. Hiding in plain sight, years passed, and Lyra and Cygnus blossomed into extraordinary young adults under Liam Novak's care. Now 16 years old, the twins had adapted remarkably well to life on Earth, their alien heritage hidden beneath a carefully crafted veneer of normality. Novak had long since retired from active space duty, dedicating himself full-time to his role as the twins' father and protector. He had used his considerable influence and connections to create a new identity for himself and the children, moving them to a quiet, unassuming town where they could live without attracting too much attention. To the outside world, they were just another family, albeit an unusually gifted one. Lyra and Cygnus excelled in their studies, their keen intellects and natural curiosity propelling them to the top of their classes. They made friends easily, their gentle natures and quick wit endearing them to their peers. But beneath the surface, the twins were grappling with a growing sense of otherness. As they entered adolescence, their alien abilities began to manifest in ways that were becoming increasingly difficult to conceal. Lyra discovered that she could communicate telepathically with her brother, their minds linked by an invisible bond that allowed them to share thoughts and emotions without speaking a word. Cygnus found that he could manipulate energy fields, his touch capable of powering electronic devices or short-circuiting them with a thought. Novak did his best to help the twins understand and control their emerging powers, but he knew that they were treading on dangerous ground. If their true nature were to be revealed, they would be at the mercy of a world that might not understand or accept them. As the twins navigated the challenges of their double lives, Novak couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. Strange figures seemed to appear at the edge of his vision, vanishing before he could get a clear look. Uncommon glitches in the electronic systems of their home and school hinted at outside interference. Novak's paranoia grew, his instincts honed by years of military training screaming at him that something was amiss. He began to take extra precautions, installing state-of-the-art security systems and monitoring the twins' movements more closely. Despite his best efforts, Novak knew that he couldn't protect Lyra and Cygnus forever. Sooner or later, the truth would come out, and they would have to face the consequences of their extraordinary existence. As the pressure mounted, Novak found solace in the unwavering love and trust of his children. Lyra and Cygnus looked to him for guidance and reassurance, their faith in him a beacon of light in an increasingly uncertain world. Together, the family forged ahead, determined to face whatever challenges lay before them. They clung to the hope that someday they might find a way to bridge the gap between their two worlds, to create a future where humans and aliens could coexist in peace and understanding. But even as they dared to dream of a better tomorrow, the shadows of the past were closing in. Unknown to Novak and the twins, forces beyond their control were converging, ancient machinations set in motion by the very crash that had brought Lyra and Cygnus to Earth all those years ago. As the threads of destiny began to weave together, the family's quiet life was about to be shattered by a revelation that would change everything they thought they knew about themselves and their place in the universe. The storm was coming, and Novak could only pray that the bonds of love and loyalty that held them together would be strong enough to weather the trials ahead. For in the end, it was those bonds that would determine the fate of not just one family, but of two worlds on the brink of a new era. The truth emerges. On the eve of Lyra and Cygnus' 18th birthday, an unexpected arrival shattered the fragile peace of the family's existence. A sleek alien craft descended from the heavens, landing on the outskirts of their quiet town and sending shockwaves of panic and curiosity through the population. Novak watched in tense anticipation as a delegation of tall, ethereal beings emerged from the ship, their luminous skin and flowing robes marking them as distinctly unhuman. They moved with a grace and purpose that spoke of a civilization far older and more advanced than anything Earth had ever known. To Novak's surprise, the aliens sought out his family directly, their leader requesting an audience with Lyra and Cygnus. With a heavy heart and a sense of inevitable change, Novak brought the twins to meet the visitors, knowing that the time for secrets and lies had finally come to an end. In a moment that would forever be etched in their memories, the alien leader revealed the shocking truth of Lyra and Cygnus' origins. They were not just any alien children, but the long-lost heirs to the throne of a vast, ancient empire that spanned the stars. Their parents, the rightful rulers of this empire, had been overthrown in a brutal coup when the twins were mere infants. Desperate to protect their children, they had placed them in a secret cryo chamber aboard a small, fast ship, programmed to carry them to safety far beyond the reach of their enemies. But fate had intervened, and the ship had crashed on an uncharted world, leaving Lyra and Cygnus stranded and alone until Novak had found them and taken them in. Now, with the coup leaders vanquished and the empire in turmoil, the loyal forces of the old regime had come to bring the twins home. to take their rightful place as the leaders of their people and restore order to the galaxy. Lyra and Cygnus listened to the aliens' tale with a mix of wonder, disbelief, and a growing sense of unease. They had always known they were different, but to discover that they were royalty from another world was almost too much to bear. Novak, too, struggled with the revelation, his heart torn between his love for the twins and the knowledge that he had no right to keep them from their true destiny. He had always known that this day might come, but now that it was here, he found himself woefully unprepared for the pain of letting go. In the end, it was Lyra and Cygnus who made the decision. Though it broke their hearts to leave behind the only home and family they had ever known, they knew that they had a duty to their people and to the legacy of their birth parents. With tears in their eyes and a promise to return someday, the twins bid farewell to Novak and Earth, boarding the alien ship and setting off on a journey that would take them back to the stars and the destiny that awaited them. As he watched the ship disappear into the sky, Novak felt a profound sense of loss, tempered by an even deeper sense of pride. He had raised Lyra and Cygnus to be strong, compassionate, and wise beyond their years, and he knew that they would face the challenges ahead with the same courage and grace that had defined their time on Earth. Though his heart ached with the knowledge that their paths had diverged, Novak took solace in the unbreakable bond of love that would forever connect him to the extraordinary children he had been privileged to call his own. And deep down, he knew that this was not the end of their story, but merely the beginning of a new chapter, one that would see the twins take their place among the stars and shape the course of the universe itself. Abduction and rescue. No sooner had Lyra and Cygnus arrived on their home planet than they found themselves thrust into a web of intrigue and danger. The Empire was in a state of upheaval, with rival factions vying for control in the power vacuum left by their parents' overthrow. Not all of these factions were pleased by the twins' return. Some saw them as a threat to their own ambitions, while others questioned the legitimacy of their claim to the throne after so many years in exile. One group in particular, a shadowy cabal of dissident nobles and military leaders, decided to take matters into their own hands. In a daring raid on the imperial palace, they abducted Lyra and Cygnus, whisking them away to a secret stronghold on a remote, heavily fortified moon. News of the kidnapping sent shockwaves through the Empire and beyond. When word reached Lyam Novak back on Earth, the former captain wasted no time in springing into action. Using every resource and connection at his disposal, Novak managed to secure a small, fast ship and a crew of loyal allies, many of them veterans of his old space exploration days. Together, they set off on a desperate mission to rescue the twins and bring them home. As they navigated the treacherous reaches of uncharted space, Novak and his team found themselves up against not only the formidable defenses of the dissident stronghold, but also the machinations of rival factions within the Empire itself. Some saw Novak's mission as a threat to their own plans and sought to thwart him at every turn. Others, recognizing the twins' rightful claim to the throne, offered aid and intelligence, helping to guide the rescue team through the labyrinthine web of interstellar politics. On the dissident moon, Lyra and Cygnus found themselves in a desperate fight for survival. Their captors, determined to break their will and secure their compliance, subjected them to a relentless campaign of psychological manipulation and physical hardship. But the twins proved to be far more resilient than their enemies had anticipated. Drawing on the inner strength and moral conviction that Novak had instilled in them, they resisted their captors' efforts, refusing to be broken or swayed from their path. As the days turned into weeks, Lyra and Cygnus began to rally support among the other prisoners, and even some of their guards, their natural charisma and leadership abilities shining through even in the darkest of circumstances. By the time Novak and his team finally reached the stronghold, the twins had already set in motion a daring plan of their own. In a series of carefully coordinated strikes, they led a prisoner uprising, neutralizing their captors and seizing control of key installations. Novak, arriving in the midst of the chaos, found himself fighting alongside his adopted children, their skills and courage honed by the trials they had endured. Together, they fought their way to the heart of the stronghold, overcoming every obstacle in their path. In the final confrontation, Novik came face to face with the leader of the dissident faction, a ruthless warlord determined to break the twins' will and claim the empire for himself. In a desperate battle that pushed them all to the limits of their endurance, Novik and the twins emerged victorious. Their triumph a testament to the unbreakable bonds of love and loyalty that had sustained them through the darkest of times. As the dust settled and the stronghold lay in ruins, Novik took a moment to embrace Lyra and Cygnus, his relief and pride overwhelming in their intensity. They had come so far and endured so much, but in the end, their love for each other had proven stronger than any force in the universe. With the dissident faction defeated and their most dangerous enemies vanquished, the twins were finally free to return to their people and take their rightful place as the leaders of the empire. But even as they prepared to embark on the next stage of their journey, they knew that they could never have made it this far without the unwavering support and guidance of the man who had raised them as his own. Novak, for his part, knew that his work was far from over. The road ahead would be long and fraught with challenges, but he was determined to stand by Lyra and Cygnus' side, to help them navigate the treacherous waters of interstellar politics and build a future of peace and prosperity for their people. Together, they would face the future, secure in the knowledge that no matter what trials lay ahead, they would always have each other, and the love that had brought them together across the vast expanse of space and time. Destiny fulfilled. In the weeks following their triumphant return to the Imperial Palace, Lyra and Cygnus found themselves at the center of a whirlwind of activity and change. With the help of their loyal allies and the guidance of their adoptive father, they began the daunting task of rebuilding their shattered empire and forging a new path forward. One of their first acts was to convene a great council of the empire's leaders, bringing together representatives from every corner of the vast interstellar nation. In a series of impassioned speeches and hard-fought negotiations, the twins laid out their vision for a new era of peace, cooperation, and prosperity. Drawing on their unique perspective as both alien royalty and human-raised adoptees, Lyra and Cygnus challenged the old ways of thinking that had led to so much conflict and strife. They spoke of the need for empathy, understanding, and a willingness to embrace the diversity and potential of all sapient beings. At first, their message was met with skepticism and resistance from some quarters. Many of the Empire's old guard, set in their ways and wary of change, resisted the twins' call for reform and renewal. But Lyra and Cygnus would not be deterred. With Novak by their side, they worked tirelessly to build bridges and forge alliances, reaching out to even their most stubborn opponents with a message of reconciliation and shared purpose. Slowly but surely, the tide began to turn. More and more of the Empire's leaders and citizens were won over by the twins' vision and their unwavering commitment to the greater good. In a series of historic votes and accords, the Great Council endorsed a sweeping package of reforms and initiatives, paving the way for a new chapter in the Empire's history. As the weeks turned into months, the changes began to take hold. The Empire's vast war machine was. As the weeks turned into months, the changes began to take hold. The Empire's vast war machine was gradually dismantled, its resources redirected towards exploration, scientific advancement, and the betterment of all its citizens. New alliances were forged with neighboring civilizations, built on a foundation of mutual respect and cooperation. At the heart of it all were Lyra and Cygnus, their leadership and vision guiding the Empire towards a brighter future. They ruled with wisdom, compassion, and an unwavering commitment to justice, their unique blend of alien heritage and human upbringing, enabling them to navigate even the most challenging of situations. Novak, though he held no official title, was never far from their side. He served as their most trusted advisor, confidant, and moral compass, his love and guidance a constant source of strength and inspiration. As the twins' reign entered its second year, a momentous occasion arrived. In a grand ceremony attended by dignitaries from across the galaxy, Lyra and Cygnus formally announced the establishment of diplomatic relations with Earth, the world that had sheltered and nurtured them in their time of greatest need. The announcement sent shockwaves through both civilizations, marking the new era of interstellar cooperation and exchange. For the first time in history, humanity found itself part of a much larger galactic community. Its horizons expanded beyond anything it had ever known. At the center of this historic moment stood Novak, his heart swelling with pride as he watched the children he had raised stand tall as the leaders of an empire and the architects of a new age. In their triumph, he saw the vindication of all the sacrifices, struggles, and unwavering love that had brought them to this point. As the ceremony drew to a close, Lyra and Cygnus turned to their adoptive father, their eyes shining with emotion. In a moment that would be remembered for generations, they embraced him, their love and gratitude a palpable force that seemed to fill the entire grand hall. And as the three of them stood there, surrounded by the cheers and applause of a grateful empire, they knew that their journey had been worth every trial and tribulation. They had started as a lost alien children and a lonely human explorer, thrown together by the capricious whims of fate. But through love, courage, and an unbreakable bond, they had forged a family and a legacy that would endure for generations to come. In the years that followed, Lyra and Cygnus would go on to lead the empire to even greater heights, their reign remembered as a golden age of peace, prosperity, and enlightenment. And always at their side was Novak, the human father who had loved them, raised them, and helped them become the leaders they were always meant to be. Their story would be told and retold across the stars, a shining example of the power of love to transcend all boundaries and create something truly extraordinary. And though the path had been long and fraught with challenges, Novak, Lyra, and Cygnus knew that they would walk it together, now and always, a family bound by a love that had crossed the vastness of space and time to bring them home. As the old saying went, the stars had indeed aligned for the alien twins and their human father. Their destiny, once a thing of tragedy and uncertainty, had been rewritten into a tale of triumph, hope, and enduring love. And as they looked out at the vast expanse of the galaxy, they knew that their greatest adventures were still to come, a future filled with infinite promise and the unshakable bond of a family forged among the stars.